We are here live in the studio with special guest Stroke.
To say the Strokes have had a long and varied career is kind of an understatement, spanning nearly 25 years and releasing 6 amazing full-length studio albums. First off, their critically acclaimed debut album, Is This It, in 2001.
Is that it? Coming out in September, isn't it?
Is that it? That's actually Is This.
And automatically gathering tons of fans simultaneously in both America and the UK, with huge songs like Someday and Last Night. In 2003, they would release Room on Fire, their sophomore album, which contains one of their biggest songs of all time, Reptilia. After a small 3-year break, the Strokes would then release First Impressions of Earth, which is perhaps my favourite album by them, with massive songs like You Only Live Once.
Some people think they're always right. Others are quiet and tight.
And Juicebox.
Please welcome Stroke with Juicy Juice.
I want to go here. We got a city to love.
A further 5 years would pass and the Strokes would release Angles, perhaps the biggest departure from their signature sound up until this point, but still undeniably the Strokes, with huge songs like Under Cover of Darkness, and Machu Picchu. 2 years later, they would release their most controversial album, Come Down the Chute, a nod to synth pop and 80s music, which would divide fans heavily. And then, in the first quarter of 2020,
before the dark times,
7 years later, they would release, which in my opinion is their magnum opus, The New Abnormal, the first album and set of songs they released in the massively influential social media era, with massive songs like At the Door, Ode to the Mets, and of course, their biggest viral hit, The Adults Are Talking.
I don't go there 'cause you'll never return. I know you think of me when you think of her.
Songs on this album are much more adventurous than other albums, perhaps in part due to working with producer Rick Rubin, who is known for pushing artists out of their comfort zone. Regardless, the instrumentation on every song is much more varied and inventive. I just want to say a huge thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video, but we'll get onto that further on. So let's take a look at The Adults Are Talking. The song opens with a drum part that is repeated the whole way throughout the song, providing a hypnotic and solid structure for the song to build upon. Albert's guitar comes in with the classic chorus riff that the song is so well known for, before a subtle pause and Julian delivers one of the coolest opening vocal parts the Strokes have ever done.
They've been saying you're sophisticated.
The guitar tones and parts on this song are wide and varied, following the typical Strokes counterpoint fashion that they are so well known for, but this time taking it to new heights. Albert's main guitar tone is the most simple out of the two throughout the song,
Saying you're sophisticated. Played in over-educated.
a Strat on the middle pickup,
I use the middle pickup on everything, so it's wired so when I'm strumming I won't hit it.
a nice slapback delay for the first parts,
Shut up!
and some spring reverb to complement the sound further. It won't be until you get to the guitar break where you hear why the song is called what it is. Albert has a great analog delay sound to deliver a really cool guitar solo of sorts, whilst Nick counters with his own amazing riffs. To replicate Albert's parts, you need a pedal that can do a slapback delay, as well as a really cool analog delay with darkening repeats, and be able to switch between these two sounds on the fly. For that, I'm using the Strymon Volante, which allows me to get the amazing slapback tone with spring reverb, and then instantly switch to the quarter note delay parts of the solo. And more importantly, when I switch back to the slapback, the repeats carry on from the previous delay sounds. I just want to say a huge thank you to Sweetwater for sending over the Volante to use in this video. You can find links down in the description to their store where you can find every piece of gear I used in this video and many of my other videos. Now let's take a look at Nick's parts. His tone changes quite drastically throughout the song. For the first break parts, it's just a straight up cleanish drive tone and heavily palm muted to get that staccato sound. This same tone can be used for the chorus parts, but when we get to the dueling guitar solo, again, we need a good analog delay to complement Albert's parts. Again, I'm using the Strymon Volante to get that sound. Then the spitty fuzz tone comes into the picture, adding yet another texture. For that, I was using the Keeley fuzz bender. Straight after that, Nick takes a little break before adding some chorus modulated chords to the first parts. And then switching back to the straightforward drive tone for the chorus. Moving on to the outro, this is where we hear another heavy counterpoint part between Nick and Albert's guitars. Albert has darkened his tone significantly to provide some upper octave lead lines, whilst Nick is using a POG 2 octave pedal and some type of fuzz to get a synth-like tone. For Nick's parts, I used the POG 2 and Thorpy Fallout Cloud, and for Albert's, I just rolled down the tone pop. So there was a look at one of the Strokes' biggest viral hits, and in my opinion, their most adventurous in terms of guitar parts and tones, as well as leaning into the classic counterpoint guitar parts they're so well known for. I just want to say a huge thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. You can find links down in the description to their store where you can find every piece of gear I used in this video and many of my other videos. Let me know down in the comments what song you'd like me to do next, and click on one of my other videos at the end. I'll see you next time.
You would say